She was the tragedy queen of Indian cinema, adored by millions, yet dying of loneliness every night. He was a celebrated writer and director, refined and brilliant, but deeply possessive. Their love began like a poem, but ended like a haunting gudgeon of betrayal, control and eternal longing. This is not just a love story. This is the story of Meena Kumari and Kamal Amrohi, a bond that was both her sanctuary and her prison. Stay till the end to uncover how this iconic romance shaped Meena Kumari's most heartbreaking role. Her own life. In this video, we take you deep into the true love story of Meena Kumari and Kamal Amrohi, one of Bollywood's most iconic yet devastating romances. From secret nikah to emotional breakdowns, from love letters to loneliness, this story will stay with you long after it ends. If you love stories of passion, pain and poetry, this one's for you. It was 1951. Meena Kumari had just recovered from a terrible accident. One night at the famous Bombay Talkies studio, she met Kamal Amrohi, a brilliant director and poet. He was 15 years older than her and married, with children. But Meena, only 18 then, was instantly drawn to his intelligence, calm voice and poetic soul. He called her a soul with the face of a goddess. Their connection was intense, immediate and deeply emotional. They started writing letters to each other, love letters dipped in ink and longing. And then, in secret, they married. A quiet nikah, witnessed by close friends. It was a love that defied tradition, but it came with a cost. As their relationship grew, so did Kamal's insecurities. He didn't want Meena to do cheap commercial films. She wasn't allowed to meet male co-stars without his permission. Her makeup, her costumes, even the scenes she could do, were all controlled. She would leave for film shoots with a maid and a driver assigned by him. At Amrohi Studios, she had to enter from gate number 3, just to avoid contact with other actors. It wasn't love anymore, it was surveillance. But Meena was at the peak of her career. Films like Baiju Bavra, Prinita, Dilapna or Preet Prai were making her a legend. Behind the spotlight, though, she was crumbling. In 1962, Meena was cast in Sahib Bibi Aur Ghulam, a film that would define her legacy. But the role mirrored her own pain. A neglected wife, drowning in sorrow and alcohol. Art imitated life, and life began to imitate art. She would return home late from shoots, exhausted and emotionally shattered. One night, after a bitter fight, Kamal told her, "You don't need to come back." She never did. That night, she left Kamal Amrohi's house forever. Her driver, Mumd, and her bottle of liquor became her only companions. The years that followed were dark. Meena became dependent on alcohol, not as rebellion, but as escape. She was lonely, sick, and yet continued to act in films because she had no other way to survive. In a strange twist, she agreed to act in Kamal Amrohi's magnum opus, Pakija, a film they had started together years ago. Even in separation, their souls were still tied to each other through cinema. She completed the film, her final masterpiece. But by then, her liver was failing. Pakija released in February 1972. It was a super hit. The nation fell in love with her all over again. But just 1 month later, Meena Kumari was gone. On the 31st of March 1972, she died of cirrhosis of the liver. She was only 38, and Kamal, he broke down at her funeral. He reportedly said, "She was always mine. Even when she left, she never left me." Theirs was a story written in poetry, lived in pain and remembered in whispers. Meena Kumari, the tragedy queen, didn't just play tragic roles, she lived them. And Kamal Amrohi, the man who loved her deeply, also caged her with that love. Some stories don't end with happily ever after. Some, like this one, end with silence and immortal cinema. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Legends of Love. Tell us in the comments, was it love or was it tragedy wrapped in obsession?